evening. Ira Epstein with your Spider ETF stock market wrap-up for a pretty crazy trading day today on this Thursday, the 25th of July, 2024. I say crazy because you had wild reactions both ways in the market. You know, the stock market, I came in this morning down sharply. Then we had a bunch of data come out, and after the data came out, and I'll get to it in a minute, but it was GDP data, it was jobless claims, and I'll even show some of that to you. And the market rallied back, and then late in the day, we started going south again. If you look behind me, you get a pretty good feel. The metal markets were lower. Tesla was up. NVIDIA tried the upside, ended up about $2 lower on the day. We still have the QQQ and the SPY losing as the rotation into the Dow and the Russell continues on at this point. Ford, GM, they're all getting hit to the downside right now, so that's pretty important. Both of them down similar dollar amounts, but bigger percentages, obviously, for Ford. Even Rivian down again 2 cents right through here. Boeing put on another gain, and as I said, I think the worst is behind Boeing. Now, we've had a wild ride in AMC. It's all over. I can't figure out with all this that they're doing in their financing and diluting of stocks what you really own if you buy that. That becomes the problem. In Amazon and Netflix, both to the downside, Schwab up, Home Depot up a little bit, yet Google, the search engine's getting hit, and that is because there's other ones coming on. Now, I use ChatGPT. Now, there's a search one that they're coming out with to take on Google specifically, and that is what hurt it. Now, for example, in my report tonight, I decided to go into the ChatGPT and say, create a chart for me of past PCEs, and I wanted to get them put out there. Just like that, it did the whole thing for me. Then I went on and checked that it looked accurate, and so far it does. But, you know, you can't trust it all. But it's amazing what you can do with it. And, yeah, here I am. I'm older in years for sure, and I'm able to use it. So, and, you know, I'm on the list that go into the betas and try all this stuff out when they let me. So it's interesting what's going on there. Now, as I said, we have a lot of data, and tomorrow's a big morning. The PCE is going to be very important, the personal income spending and the PCE indices. We are looking in this right now for which way. How is the reaction going to be? I cover it in my newsletter, and I do a big write-up tonight about it. So if you go to iraepstein.com, free offers, and you sign up, you can get these newsletters, at least samples of them, that I write to my clients twice a day. And I give a whole review on this one today, and I really go into it in detail. Let me share with you what I think will happen. A strong report is probably bearish the stock market, and a weak report is probably bullish the market. Because what the market wants to see is reason for the Fed to be able to move. Now, the odds of the Fed moving next week at the end of into July, I don't see it. Other people do. I don't see it. I see the high probability of a September move right into December. Could get 2 cuts or more. People are talking supersized cuts. When you hear that word, it means instead of 25 basis points, more than that in one cut. Then we're going to get the final July Consumer Sentiment Index from the University of Michigan. Won't matter much. Yeah, this is the final number. They're expecting it unchanged from what the prior number had been. Now, as I said, GDP came out today, and year over year it was 2.8%. They were looking for 2.1, and that's double the first quarter. So as the market was down, everybody started buying the market again, going, what the heck? This economy is roaring. And you could see core PCE, which will float into tomorrow's numbers, 2.9%. Personal consumption up 2.3. I mean, these were just all good numbers. And then where the terrible numbers came in, as you can see, the consumers holding back are durable goods down 6.6%. And jobless claims were down in both categories. Why? Well, I'm not sure that the numbers make sense. Now, at that point, we had to get past Hurricane Beryl. Remember her? I do, my house. I went up today and was able to look at the roof and see the damage, and I definitely have damage. Now I got to get the roofers out, but it's the first day that I decided to travel up that high and take a look at it myself. All right. Before we get into all this, I want you to do me a favor. What do you want me to place CrowdStrike with for this weekend? So if you'll write me just on the YouTube when I put these out, you know how you can do a comment. If I take the one you do and I go in sequences, I'll pick somebody from it. And I look at what they are. If I pick yours, I will give you a free subscription to something. All right? So your call on that. But in CrowdStrike, you're still leaking away. So we haven't found the bottom. I'm getting people writing me, well, I want to buy it down here. You know, it's a third cheaper. It's a great company, and I agree. But if you're going to do that, understand, close your eyes, put it away in your portfolio, and you've got to get through this. Just the way Boeing, remember it got down into the 160s, and now it's 184. It's those type of things. But when you get a company that's still the pillar of this part of its industry, and I think they are, they'll overcome this. It'll take a while, but a third down, do you think it's going to go to 50%? Maybe you do cost averaging, but that's going to be up to you people. All right? We know why it's down like this. We know that the companies are just getting their footing back. And by the way, when we talk about this, it brings up to mind because Delta's the airline that got hurt. You saw today that Southwest, for those of you that loved it because of non-reserve seating, bye-bye. They can't survive under that model. And now that they have some investors that have come in, we'll call them the hostile boys, and that they've stepped in, they even don't think this is enough, but they're starting to do away with that. They've got to get back to profitability. So interesting what goes on. I was reading Harley Davidson. You know, as I'm doing this, I've got my Harley pictures up. I rode Harleys. Great part of my life. Loved the motorcycle, loved riding, but I'm older, and I realize it's not the smartest thing I can do. But I rode all over America, Sturgis, down to Florida, Arizona. I've been on bikes since I'm 13 years old. So it was a long ride, and I was fortunate. But I'm noticing they are doing better with higher priced touring models. Very interesting. But like everything, the consumer's going to pull back. And as a biker, you want one for the summer. So this is their peak time. And in the Midwest, well, it's going to fall because you don't ride motorcycles in the winter. Some people do, but most people don't. Coming down right through here. You can't go buy in CrowdStrike any of the chart action now because it's a free fall. You are moving to the right-hand side, and when that occurs, it's the first sign, the very first sign that the algo, if you will, the Bollinger Band is caught up with price, and now price is moving into the right-hand side of it. I'm not smart enough to tell you where the bottom is, but as I'm saying, I think that people are going to buy some here now. I think they'll buy it another 10% lower if they can get it, and they'll say, I'm willing to live with that in this company. Remember, this was a company that was just $400 a share, and now it's $254. Embedded reading? Absolutely. So now you've got that. There's nothing bullish on the chart. So when I tell you that I think people are going to buy it, and I've had people writing me, and I get it, you got to talk out of both sides. If you're a chartist, there's no reason to buy it. If you're a value trader, you're probably saying, I'm willing to take a step in. In RSP, so as we take a look, the market is still working its way down. You did have an outside day up today. It doesn't look like it, but the market made a lower low than yesterday, right into the 18-day average. You know how often I talk about that, and you got to bounce. Now, if the market takes out today's lows tomorrow, the question is, do you open the door to get down to the 165 area, about $2 lower, the 100-day average? You might. In uranium, it's just letting itself go to the downside. These are big moves now coming back down. Market's not trending upward, that's for sure. It's just in a free fall, if you will, to the downside. And all the auto stocks are getting hit. Rivian back down. Now it's under the 18-day average, trend down, bias down. It's opened the door, if it wants to continue down, to the 1455, to wherever that Bollinger Band is. That'll climb very close to that 200-day average shortly. The battleground's really the 18-day average to see what it does. In FCX, Freeport, lower highs, lower lows. The first sign that the market is finding a bottom would be by taking out Wednesday's high. That would give you then, you'd break the pattern of lower highs, lower lows. I'm not saying it'll happen, but that would be the first part. Linn, The market is sitting here with an embedded reading. If the red line closes under 79, you open the door up to get back down here. Tomorrow's an important day for all these. By the time these open, you're going to see the PCE numbers, and the market will have anticipated in the futures what's going to happen with interest rates. So tomorrow at 7:30, you want to be glued to your TV, be it Bloomberg, be it CNBC, Fox, whichever ones that you like to watch with it, but you want to be watching what it's going to do. I have my news wires on and all that, and I'll be right on top of it. Same thing's going to be that way in the home builders. You are overbought here. Is the market going to be disappointed or be happy with the data that comes out? Because it is an important piece of data. Should you go down, supports 106.73 to 105.34, and if you go up, 119.88 is the upside. Then we get to the financial sector, which lost its bullish embedded reading. Market made one run to the 18-day average. I think tomorrow's going to be the day that proves it. Either it's going to go down to that number again, or we get something of a turnaround in the market. Right now, the trend is down, but the bias is up as you're over that number. In the XLI, if you're a moving average person, you can see that you held the 100 and the 18-day average of closes. You had an outside day up. Now, if you're going to prove that that's going to be a movement that carries the market, you cannot afford over the next 2 trading sessions to take out this low. If you do, the odds would favor then even a further break, could even go back down to wherever the Bollinger Band is. You're at a very, very rough place on this chart. The energy sector blew me away today. I looked at the market, how weak we were in crude in the morning, all the products, and by the end of the day, they had all reversed back to the upside. I'll cover that in the futures when I do the financial markets, but you have higher high, lower low. There is no trend playing out there. In the gold miners, yesterday I had told traders, I said, folks, it's generally the miners that don't lead the complex higher. It is the base metal. And we were getting gold down, but the miners were up early in the day. Then they failed by day's end. You're not trending. You can see that you walked away from that. Silver's just in a state of collapse, but now you're under both the 100-day average and the Bollinger Band. You've opened the door up to either get back into these numbers, which is often the case, or the market can be going down to 23.49. It sounds far away. It looks like it, but it's really just over $1.90 or so. In COPEX, still coming down. You're still not doing enough to get this market to go. The market's so disappointed in China. And speaking of China, they did another move today. So today they surprised the market with a 20 basis point cut on 1-year loans. They call that their medium term, but they're not. It's 1 year. So we've seen 7-day repos just get a reduction. Yesterday. And today we saw China make another move, but it's still not impacting the copper market, and you're seeing it in that ETF. TLT, tomorrow's what this is all about. Trying to guess tonight what it's going to do, why. The trend is down, the bias is down going into the report, and you're oversold. Last in the dollar index, well, it's next to the last, coming back up right where I said. The resistance would be the 18-day average. And if you take a look at the battle you're fighting over here in FXE, right at the 18-day average. So you put it all together, you've got battles galore. Tomorrow's just an important day. It's the end of the week. It's going to be a big trading day. The market's going to have a lot to react to. And then you'll get the normal naysayers going, oh, guess what? We now have reason for the Fed to make a move in July if the market has a really bad PCE number. Conversely, you get a strong set of numbers. Why is this market up? It's going to push the Fed back for a bit. That would not be the best thing. We want to get July in the camp where the Fed says June and July were weakness, and we want to see one more month, and then we can make our move. We don't want this number to come out so strong it destroys all that. And CPI and PPI have been weak. I use pivot points all the time. I look at it during the markets, trying to figure out, hey, gee, is my entry point right, wrong, or where should I be with it? And basically, it's a formula that looks at the prior day's open, yes, open, high, low, close, and then the formula determines support and resistance points on the chart. The chart will look like this. You'll have a white line that's the pivot, and you'll have resistance 1 and 2. They're called R1 and 2, and S1 and 2, supports 1 and 2. And traders are trying to sell the higher number, trying to come out either there or looking to see can they get back to the pivot itself. It's rare that you go from the high all the way down to the low. So you're playing within the quadrants that the market sets up. I created a course for you, and you can apply this on your own charts. Just about every good charting service is going to have pivot points. And it's how you use them. I use them with stochastics. I teach you with the videos so you can see how I teach people on different courses, and you can take it from there. It's a 3-part series. You got your own charting software. So to get this, it's free. Just go to IraEpstein.com under the free offers. You move your cursor to the top here. We'll have a cursor. I'll catch up with you tomorrow, and we will have a lot to talk about in the morning because we'll have the PCE under our belt. You have a good evening.